And welcome back to The Factor Uncensored. As the city of Houston prepares to honor the iconic late Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee, a scramble is underway to fill her seat on Capitol Hill. Political analyst Dallas Jones talks about who we can expect to see in that race. Dallas, we know we have lost a Congresswoman, Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee, and we're already hearing names of people vying for her seat in the 18th Congressional District. But we know the way this woman worked, the next person is going to have to work their ass off and bring it, because there's no easy filling the shoes of Sheila Jackson Lee. I don't think it's possible, but people can do their best.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Congresswoman was a larger-than-life figure. She's one of those irreplaceable, figures that have touched our lives. Mm-hmm. She's done some incredible things. I always joke with people, remind people, I say, hey, look, Sheila Jackson Lee spoke at Michael Jackson's funeral. When you talk about like one of the biggest worldwide watched events, right? Somehow or another, she was on that stage. But she made us proud. She made everyone in Houston feel as though they were family. She was at your funeral. She was at your bar mitzvahs. She was at whatever occasion it was to celebrate her constituents. And so whatever you want to say about Sheila Jackson Lee, you cannot say that she was not the epitome of a hard worker.
Absolutely. Now, there's some names that are floating out there, people who are hoping to fill that seat. First of all, tell us, what are some of the names that you're hearing that comes to mind?
So there are a number of names floating around. We'll come to see whether or not it's true. But I mean, the biggest of those would be former Mayor Sylvester Turner. He's been circulating. There've been a couple of news stories about him. I think that if the former mayor decides to pursue this, I think he'll be tough to beat. We have some other folks whose names, State Representative Jarvis Johnson, I believe, has announced today. We also have the name of Amanda Edwards, former city councilwoman, who most recently in the March primary ran against the Congresswoman for the 18th Congressional District. And so it's highly anticipated that she will also try to claim the seat. Former city councilman Dwight Boykins is another name that's floating out there. And then, a slew of others that we've heard tale of. And so, I think right now, those are the biggest names that are emerging that I've heard thus far.
Mm-hmm. And tell us the process. If they're hoping to fill her seat, does it take an action by the governor? Does it take action by county commissioners? Who gets involved once an election is held?
So it's actually two separate processes. The Harris County Democratic Party Executive Committee, which consists of about 120 precinct chairs, will decide who will be the new Democratic nominee on the ballot in November, which ultimately will be elected to a full 2-year term starting in January in the U.S. House. Now, there's still the issue of the Congresswoman's current term, which would expire at the end of the year. The governor can call a special election, and will call a special election, in which anybody, Republican, Democrat alike, can run for the seat, and therefore they would serve the remainder of the term, depending on when the governor decides to call that election.
Got it. But right now, when you look at those names in this potential race to fill the seat left vacant by the late Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee, right now, number one in your mind is former Houston Mayor Sylvester Turner. What are his attributes in the last 20 seconds that you have that you think puts him ahead of the rest?
Well, I mean, he's served 30 years as a state representative. He served as mayor for the last 8 years. This district geographically encompasses a large part of his old state rep district, which means he has a relationship with these precinct chairs from both his time as state rep and mayor. And I think sometimes, this is a popularity contest, and I think he has that popularity.
All right, Dallas Jones, thank you for joining us here on The Factor Uncensored. We appreciate your insight, sir.